Well, good evening and welcome to Tiger Talk. It's on to Hull and Back Podcast and on Humberwave Radio. Good to have you tuned in this week. And thanks for joining us when we are about to kick off in around about 58 minutes time or something like that. A big game tonight. We'll talk about that in a little while. I'm going to say good evening to my guests in a minute. But first of all, we'll say thank you to the carmustgo.co.uk for sponsoring the show.
Looking to buy or sell your next car or van? At thecarmustgo.co.uk, we make it easy. We are proud to be your trusted local Hull business, with 5-star Google reviews from happy customers across East Yorkshire. We buy and sell quality cars and vans, all with a full mechanical check, MOT and warranty included. So call in and see us today at Rugby Street in Hull, or visit us online at thecarmustgo.co.uk. We buy, we sell cars and vans.
Yes, so if you are looking to buy or sell a car or a van, then contact thecarmustgo.co.uk and I'm sure they can help you out. Evening to you, James.
Evening, Adey.
Evening, Paul.
Evening, Adey.
Evening, Jan.
Evening, Adey.
And Becca's joining us tonight. Evening, Becca.
Good evening, Adey.
Hope you're all well this week. It's sometimes a good job that we don't record this show like half an hour after a game, isn't it? Because I'm sure that we would all be a lot worse than we are. Just to let everybody know, we are recording this on a Tuesday because I, at this precise moment in time, are in the Tigers Trust Arena. Paul's joining me. I think Jan's there as well. Where are you, James?
Where am I tonight?
No, at this precise moment in time on the game night.
Oh, I'm watching from home. I haven't been able to go to the games lately because I'm recovering from a surgery. So
right. So you're going to be at home. Yeah. Becca, where are you going to be?
I'm going to be in the pub.
You're going to be in the pub. So that's where we'll all be.
I'll be consoling myself beforehand.
But you might be watching this after the game. You might be watching it on the way to the game. You might be listening to it on the way to the game. And whatever you are watching it or wherever you are listening to it, we appreciate you listening tonight. And we will be back live again next week because I don't believe we've got a Wednesday night match unless I've missed my diary somehow. Anyway, let's get to the game because we had a game on Friday night and we have to talk about it, unfortunately. They did cover this on to Hull and Back Podcast, but we didn't have our say, so we're going to have our say on the game and tell us what we thought about the game. I'm not going to come to Jan just yet. I'm going to give a chance to calm down and get ready. James, I'm going to come to you first.
Yeah, it was one to forget, wasn't it? I think Hayden Hackney absolutely ran the game. Him and, is it Gilbert, their midfield absolutely had us on strings all night. All their goal threat came through the middle. It seems like that's our weakest area on the pitch, and it has been for a long time now. Sergei seems to be in a bit of a habit at the moment of getting the team selection wrong at the start of a game and us having to try and recover something in the second half. Obviously, we took such a hammering in the first half that we was down and out of the game anyways. I don't think there was any chance of us coming back to make the game 4-4 or even somehow scam a win out of that game. It just, to me, it seems like we need someone in the midfield who can really break up play, and we don't have that player at the moment. It seems like our personnel is really letting us down. I thought Adey and Egan weren't good enough. They didn't clear the balls well. They was making the wrong decisions, and I don't know if it's going to be the last time we maybe see that experiment. But I wasn't impressed with the defence at all, and I'm not really going to give any criticism to Panda because I don't actually think he could have done really much more in the game. It's just the rest of the team let him down, and we were dreadful, to be honest.
What would you have changed about that starting lineup?
There's not much you can particularly change, is there? We haven't got enough players available. I maybe would have had Crooks starting deeper in front of the back line like we had in the second half against Stoke. But that's probably the only thing we really could have changed. I mean, Balumi maybe should have started the game, but you can understand why he doesn't want to maybe run the risk with him. I think, tonight has got to be the game where Balumi gets his fair start again, because we look a lot better on the ball when he's on the pitch, and it feels like teams, their fullbacks have got more work to do and more to think about when he's on the pitch, rather than having kind of free reign on the pitch to go at Giles and Coyle.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm going to hear what Paul says in a minute. We'll talk about tonight's game in a little while on the show, but come on, Paul, tell what your thoughts are.
Well, to be fair, I think it's been coming for a while, one of these defeats. We've rode our luck a few times, haven't we? Stoke could have been 3 or 4 up. Norwich could have been 3 or 4 up. I think Preston were 2 up, probably had chances to make it 3. So we have rode our luck a little bit this season. They just took the chances well. There was a lot better than us. It was a woeful performance. I mean, there was slating, and I don't know why, because all the team was poor. It wasn't as though he cost us the game. The whole team didn't play that well. We were just out of it all the game, and some of the mistakes at the back was dreadful. I don't know. I tend to think he picks his worst teams to start the game.
What could he have done different then, Paul? So let's talk about the starting lineup. So it was Pandor in goal, Coyle, Ajayi, Egan, Giles, Amia, that's what I'm going to say. Slater, I wouldn't have attempted it, don't worry. Crooks, Geldhart, Destan, and Joseph. That was his starting lineup. What would you have done different, Paul?
I said he could have done a lot different. Obviously, Balloum is that he could have started with him, but he's sort of taking a bit of a risk. As I've said before, you've got to take a risk at some stage with them because you never know if they're going to get another injury anyway. So you've got to take that risk. But he maybe looked at, he saw the weather forecast, the rain. He maybe didn't want to take the risk early on with him. I don't know. But we just was poor. I don't know if we're going to change the team that much to make much difference because individually we wasn't very good. Ajayi had a really poor game considering he had a decent game at Stoke. He was nowhere near that. He was. I think he got lost in the game, to be honest. And as James said, their midfield ran the game, and we haven't got anybody like that. That's the problem. Cantwell came with Blackburn, and he ran the game, and you need players like that, and we haven't got anybody. At the moment. And I just think that's the problem. We've rode our luck this season. We've got away with it a lot. Friday night just wasn't one of them nights. We was poor, and they absolutely was well on top of us. And they're doing well, Middlesbrough. Right? They're going to be in the top 6, I would think, come the end of the season. They might even get automatic promotion. It's a bit early to say that, but they're a decent team, and we're just not at that level. I don't think, especially with the players we've got out. We have nothing at all realistically to threaten them with. So, I mean, Geldart was out of the game quite a bit. He didn't play badly, but he didn't do a lot neither. It was just one of them games where nobody seemed to gel to me. It's just a poor display. And obviously, hopefully, they've got it out of the system and they're going to move on from there.
Right, let's come to you then, Jan, because you're chomping at the bit to have a go. Let's give you a go.
No, I'm not chomping at the bit. I think before I say what I say, I think there's a caveat in that we'd have all snapped your hand off for being ninth with the restrictions and the team and all of that. So I think you've got to take that. I said it before to you and I'll say it again. I'd rather win 1-0 with a solid defence than all this supposed creative football. Those full-backs, wing-backs, whatever they are, pushing forward, it leaves a huge great hole in the middle and we've got no chance. They're just running through us like through a knife through hot butter, aren't they? It's just... And I'd agree, I don't think anybody had a particularly good game, but I'm not sure Panda had a good game either. I mean, there was that sort of breakdown in communications early doors, wasn't between him and Egan. And I don't know if they've got confidence in the bloke. I really don't. But I just, on paper, would I have changed it? I probably wouldn't have risked Balloum because it was horrible, wasn't it? I mean, and we actually left 2 minutes into added time. And apart from once at Upton Park, where it was just hairy scary, we have never, ever left a game in 50 plus years before the full-time whistle. It was
what should he have done different, Jan?
Well, I just don't like the style. I just think we've been sussed. They know how to we're not strong enough in midfield. We don't defend as a team. We're too expansive. We're going forward and then there's nobody comes back to cover or anything. They just ran through our midfield because the fullbacks were running forward all the time.
Becky, your go.
So I think you've all, pretty much nailed it in the sense that collectively as a team, the performance was poor and not good enough. Teams probably have sussed us out. I think initially when we started to see the injuries in factors like McBurney, Lundstram, Balloum, we were running quite high on confidence because we'd had some really good performances and some impressive results. And then I'd say in the last 4 or 5 games, the tide's turned against us. People have started to work our system out. we do play very expansive football because the players we've got playing in the squad at the minute just aren't good enough to play this system that Sergei wants us to play. We don't defend well enough as a team, even when we've had, our full strength team available. We've not, we're conceding goals too frequently. But on Friday, you had a very good, well organised team that just ran straight through us. And I don't know if it's because there's a lack of quality in the Championship this season, but Middlesbrough and Coventry, you can see clearly why they're going to be at the top end of that table come April, when the real business starts in sense of automatics and playoffs. But I think for anything, I think it's probably been a reality check for some of the supporters that are expecting us to get a top 6 finish. We're nowhere near good enough. And that Friday night just went to show that completely.
9th at the moment in the table, got 28 points. We're 2 points off Stoke, who are in 6th place. We're only 6 points off Millwall, who are in 3rd place. It's not that bad, is it?
I don't know, Eddie. I would disagree there. I think we've not got the depth and the quality there to back us, to get us into a position where we could sustain and keep it within touching distance. But I feel like we'll probably start to drop into mid-table come the new year. And
what
you'll see a lot
then,
of just the quality and the depth in the squad. You look at players that we've got to come back. We've got some really good, strong quality players to come in. But Bernie obviously got a few minutes in the tank. But these players, we have to be really careful. We don't want more injury problems. We've had a really torrid time in the last year. So to bring
it's difficult, isn't it? Because you've got players like as you said, McBurney. He's got a chance of maybe coming. Apparently, he might get off the bench tonight. Sorry. We've also got Miller, who's just coming back from injury. Lundstrom's picked up another injury in training.
Gelhart's got an injury as well.
Yeah, Gelhart's a doubt, and it's that thing of it's difficult because we were at the beginning of the season, as Jan said, under a transfer restriction. We still are under a transfer restriction. We did well with the players that we got in. The problem that you've got is that Ollie McBurney, he's getting on a bit, in football in terms, he's getting on a bit. Also, Lundstrom, I don't mind telling him. You get McBurney, you're getting on a bit, mate, and that's just how it is in football in terms. You're nowhere near my age, but in football in terms, you are getting on a bit. Who did I see presenting? I saw somebody presenting on Sky Sports at the weekend, and he was 34 years old, and he'd retired, and I thought, McBurney's 29, isn't he?
It depends how they look after themselves, though, doesn't it?
And he's only 5 years off, but he's been injured for how long now, Jan?
Well, longer than we were told, but
that's it.
The other thing I would add is, I've really tried hard, but Amir Hazimatovic ain't up to it.
Well, it's one of them where he's come into a new league and he's
had loads of time now.
Championship's a funny old league, and sometimes it can take players a while to settle in. I think there's definitely a player in there. I just don't think that he's up to the speed of the Championship. But you've got to think that Sergei's, what did he have on the bench? I'm looking at the bench here to come in the centre of midfield. There's nobody. There's nobody on the bench. So the bench on Friday night was Phillips, the goalkeeper, not seen him. Hughes, Miller, McBurney, he was never going to play him. He already said he was never going to play him. Balumi, Akintola, Endala, Famewu, is that how I'm saying it? Yeah. And Giabi. I suppose Giabi's your one, but I've not seen enough of him to say that I would even start him in a game because, he's come on a couple of times and looked all right when he's come on, but anytime he started a game, he's looked poor. So he had nobody on the bench really to bring on.
You can argue as well, Eddie, with that bench, with the rehab that we've got within the team at the minute. Clearly we're going wrong somewhere. And the vast majority of that bench is people that just need minutes in the tank. And, you don't get that necessarily from being in a position where you can start games.
No.
And I just don't see how, some of those influential players are going to be in a position to start a game before Boxing Day. I just can't personally see it. I think we're probably going to be looking in January now.
Yeah, I mean, it's that situation, isn't it, of like, if you bring McBurney in, is he going to be ready to, how long will it be before he's ready to start a game? It will probably be a bit of time. Miller's going to be a bit the same. Bloom is the one that's more or less there,
I think he might start.
I think he might actually start. I think he's more or less there. But then, you look at the other injuries that we've got. I was listening to the interview. Drame is still injured. Williams has picked up an injury. I think Fairlong's injured, probably not even featured in anything. Then you've got Lundstrom. Obviously, Matazo's a long-time injury at the moment. Palmer's injured. So, when you look at the midfield, there's not an awful lot there that you could say, where is it? So do we then have to look at the under-21 squad and think, who have got in this under-21s midfield who can come in and hit the ground running? But we're short in the 21s as well, aren't we? There's only sort of...
They're all going out on loan, aren't they? That's what...
Tinsdale and Sheehu, isn't they, in the 21? So then you're going to drop down to the 18s.
No.
So...
It's too soon for them.
It's difficult, isn't it? He hasn't got a lot to choose from, has he, Paul?
Oh, this is the thing. And we've sort of nailed our flag with the sort of older generation, haven't we? Your Lundstroms, your Crooks, your McBurneys. They've all had injuries. And this has been the problem. They've all had longest... Well, to be fair to Crooks, he hasn't. He's sort of soldiered on. But the other two have been out a while. And now, obviously, Lundstrom's out again. We've got nobody in the midfield really strong, have we? Apart from the one, your Lundstrom's and
Lundstrom's
your
the one, isn't he? He's the one that's the strongest in there.
He's not a strong midfielder. He can maybe do a job, but he's not a strong midfielder at all. He ain't going to take the game by the scruff of the neck and make a big change into it. And I just think, it's because of the transfer embargo or whatever it was. I think it's caused a lot of problems. We've hit above our sort of weight recently, haven't we? We've got all these points. Hopefully we'll get another 7 wins and be safe. Once that happens, you can relax. Once you're safe, you can relax. And I think that's the major aim. And I'm a bit like Jan. I think he should think, can we keep a clean sheet? That's the main thing. If we can score a goal, great. But if we can keep a clean sheet, we're going to get a point. And against Wrexham, it's going to be tough. They've got some decent forwards. And
we'll come on to Wrexham. Don't talk about Wrexham yet. We'll come on to Wrexham in a minute. Just come to you.
I think that's what he's got to do. And he hasn't done it this season. I mean, he did it against Coventry. He's had 1 or 2 others. But I don't think his aim in football is to keep a clean sheet. It's to try and outscore the opposition. And I think when we've got a squad as sort of threadbare as it is, he's got to reel it in a little bit and think, right, we've got our defence is pretty strong on the people we've got. If you get the defence right, you maybe pinch your goal somewhere. If you don't, fair enough, they're going to beat you. But we've got to get a clean sheet. We can't keep shipping 2 goals a game on average. I think it's about 2 goals a game we've shipped, and you just can't carry on all that all season because you're relying heavily on the forwards. And as I say, they can't expect them to score every game 3 goals. It's just ridiculous.
It's 2 point something goals a game because we've conceded 34 and we've played 20. We've played 19.
Yeah,
so it's nearly 2 goals a game. Yeah, so you're right. Coming to you, James. Here's my thought. Just before I come to you, I'm just going to say to you, I prefer the way we've played this season to the last 2 seasons. So let's just quickly go around the table. Do you prefer this season's games to last season's, James? A yes or no? That's all I want.
Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah.
Jan?
No.
Becca?
Yeah.
There we go. So we all will have enjoyed the games more this season, apart from Jan, than last season. I think most would say that they've enjoyed it more than last season. So if we've enjoyed the games more and we start to shore up this defence, James, does that mean that we then start to enjoy the games less again?
Possibly, because, you're factoring in the fact that maybe the fact we're enjoying the game so much more is because we're scoring a lot of goals and the games are end-to-end and they're entertaining. And even if we concede a lot, the game's never boring and dull affairs, are they? It's always, a goal fest, regardless of who's scoring the goals, us or the opposition. I think the only exception you can, make an example of was the Charlton game, where I think a lot of people said we afforded them maybe a bit too much respect because they was quite a good defensive team. And I think that's the game I think we've most, defended in a compact shape and basically nullified any sort of goal threat that they had. And it was only really, one of the last kicks of the game where they managed to actually equalise the game. I think you have certain moments in games where there's individual errors like that which have led to goals. I think the Middlesbrough game is an example of that. Like, it's the amount of times that the back line was giving the ball away is also a big problem. It was turning the ball over in our own half, and that's down to individual mistakes. These are experienced players which shouldn't be making those mistakes. So I can kind of see one end of the argument that maybe Sergei would say, well, if our players was actually doing the jobs properly, we wouldn't be conceding so many goals. But the flip side of that is, I think maybe I'm sort of leaning towards what Paul and Jan are saying here, that maybe we need to experiment a little bit for a little while with playing compact and keeping a tight shape and defending as a team, and maybe trying not to score as many goals and seeing if we can keep a clean sheet and nicking a few games 1-0, even if it means we enjoy the games a little bit less. I think it might prove to the players that we can defend, and it might, give them a little bit of a boost that they need, especially with the players we've got available. Like you say, when we've got the players we want available that can play the system, then maybe we can change it back up again and be a bit more free-flowing and a bit more expansive. But at the moment, when we've got so many players out and you haven't got that Lundstrom or even Matazzo who could play sort of, just in front of the back line, where we can maybe, when our two fullbacks are pushing on and we're leaving a lot of space, there's an extra body in there who can actually break up the play. I think maybe we need to test that for a little bit, even if it's at the expense of enjoyment of the games, to be honest.
So he's got the players that he's got, Jan.
Mm.
There's so many players available. There's so many players that aren't available. What can he do different with those players? Because obviously the players that he's got like to play in a certain way. What can he do different with those players to make it better and to make us concede less?
Well, I just think the setup. I mean, I don't know if
so tell me how. What I want to know then, how are you setting it up?
Well, I just think I'm happy with the fullbacks, to be honest, but I just not happy with the way they go flying forward and that leave them a great big gaps that you just kind of.
But let's face it, Ryan Giles that's his game.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, he's getting a lot better at defending.
Yeah, he's getting a lot better at defending. But if you ask Ryan Giles to do the job that he's doing more defensively, do you get the Ryan Giles back that you had last season?
Well, you don't know, do you? Until you experiment with that, you really don't know. But what I was going to say is, I mean, we all know it's like a cemetery is the MKM, and I don't think
it is. Yeah, it is.
To be fair to us, I don't think it's a lot different at many grounds. So I don't think that we're on our own in that. But the crowd really get going when we press. And
yes,
the other day again, as I said, the Susters, we were passing it back and sideways, and right from the kickoff, it was so slow. They had so much. There was no press. They had so much time on the ball.
Thing that frustrates me is that we don't press early enough for me. I think we need to press earlier. I think that we're waiting for them to come so far up, and Sergei said, right, press them when they get to this point of the pitch. Don't press them before that. And I don't like that because I think it gives them quite a lot of room to play around. And they've already started to then get a bit of fluidity together. And then they can start to pass the ball nicely. And, all of a sudden you've got a midfielder that's got a bit of space because the backs have had it in, for long enough to be able to create that space for the midfielder. So I think we should press them a bit earlier than we do, to be quite honest. Is that down to, though, again, the team choice and who he's got available to him in the team?
But I also do think it is his style. And I just think, calm it down, but don't continue. You can hear people start to moan as soon as the ball gets passed either sideways or back to the keeper. I mean, it was genuinely a bad day at the office, wasn't it? The passing was awful. I mean, we couldn't string a couple of passes together. No. We weren't winning the first ball. We certainly weren't winning the second ball. And then it wasn't one person. It was throughout the whole team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's that situation of like who was the worst player, and it was probably the whole team. I think I'd have picked out Adey if I was going to pick out anybody. I thought he had an awful game.
I'd have picked out Hazimatovic.
I thought he played quite well at Stoke. Did Adey, but I thought on Friday night he had an awful game. If I'm honest, he just didn't look he just didn't look interesting. Now I'm wondering if because they've said to him, well, you're staying till after the Millwall game. That's, maybe it will set him a little bit. I might be
first choice though, is it? He ain't first choice in their defence. He ain't gonna play every game.
It's going to be a bit one where he's going, then playing in absolutely chucking down rain at the MKM Stadium on a Friday night when it's like 3 degrees, isn't it? So, you can understand in a little way, can't you? But it's that situation of when he goes, then you're down to Famewu and also Hughes. Hughes has obviously had this little knock. And then you've obviously got to look at the under-21s after that. So again, he's in a difficult position.
You've still got Egan.
Yeah, but Egan has to play with somebody, so it's either Hughes or Famewu. One of those two has to play with him. We haven't seen really anything of Famewu apart from playing at left back. So, it's a difficult one, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah, well, myself, I'd go 5-3-2. That's it's always one of my favourite ones.
But if you go that 5-3-2, just let's come back to you on that. If you go that 5-3-2, you've then got Egan, Hughes, and Famewu in the team. Yeah. What happens if one gets injured?
Well, you've still got two, haven't you? And you've got the under-21s if it's, a long-term injury. And also January's coming up. I think at some stage you've got to go a bit more defensive, but it would still free up Giles and Coyle to go forward because they'd have that person behind them. So there's 3 of them instead of 2. I mean, we didn't press Middlesbrough at all. I mean, Alfie Jones, I think he did well at Hull City, but he wasn't the best on the ball. No. If we'd have got in his face a little bit, because whoever he played with, there was the playmaker for Hull City from the back.
I disagree on that. I think he was good on the ball.
All right. He wasn't the playmaker from the back. We didn't press him enough. I don't think. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I like Alfie Jones. I'm not having a go, but that's what we're saying. We never pressed him. We let him have the freedom of the park virtually.
Absolutely, we did. Yeah.
I think that's a fair point because
defenders.
When now Alfie Jones used to get pressed when he played for Hull City, he was a bit shaky at times on it and he didn't like getting pressed. So I don't think we got at him enough, to be quite honest. What do you think, Becca?
I think we do need to switch it up. We do need to shore up that defence. I think there's a problem between the communication between defence and the keeper, if I'm honest. As much as we can turn around and say the team overall are playing poorly, it's that communication that seems to be massively lacking. And if we're really honest, Hughes and Egan played with Panda at the back for a lot of games last season. I don't understand why we're seeing I don't understand how that's decomposed like it has, realistically. But
it was mostly Jones, though. It was only at the end of the season that it was Hughes and Egan, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. You're right, Jan. You're absolutely right. It was mostly Jones.
Because Charlie was telling us that he loved playing with Alfie. Alfie was like a real good kind of mentor to him.
Yeah,
I think the situation, if I can come back on that, is that I think that Pando's been asked to do something a little bit different. I think he's been asked to come to places where he's not comfortable. He was never massively commanding of his area. He didn't like to come for the ball. He likes to save the ball. And he saved an awful lot of balls last season when we was, getting things.
Oh, without a doubt, he was player of the season.
Yeah.
So he was player of the season last season because of the saves that he's made. I think that what's happened is Sergei's come in and Sergei's trying to get him to command his box more. He's trying to get him to come for more balls. He's trying to get him to come off his line more. And that's not his game. And he's trying to learn a new game. He's still a very young keeper, is there, Pandor. And I think that that's why there's this little problem at the moment. When you look at what they're asking him to do, and obviously I think he wants to learn because he's a young keeper, and I think he wants to try and do this. But then when you're learning, you're going to make mistakes. It happens all the time. I teach people to drive. When they're learning, they make mistakes. And when you're asking them to do a new skill in driving, they make mistakes. It's the same in everything in life. When you're asking somebody to do something a bit different, that's what
100%.
happens.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Adey. Like you learn from your mistakes. I get that, but at what point does it become too costly where we have to make a decision?
So what do you do? What do you do different, Becca? There's Phillips on the bench.
No, you bring one in January.
Yeah, I'd rather move him along.
So the one that you're bringing in January, we've got to free up some money for, because we ain't got any money to spend at the moment. We've got to free up that money before we can bring anybody in. We have got a space, but we've got no money on the salary.
We do. I think there was an interview earlier in the week where Sergey had alluded to potentially cashing in on some players whilst we still possibly can, and Panda was one of the players that was mentioned in that as part of that interview. And if I'm totally honest, the way things have been this season, I don't think it'd be a bad idea. I think from our point of view, potentially it could make sense, but that would be dependent on the type of player we could potentially bring in. If it was to replace him with a similar caliber as Phillips, absolutely not. I won't play Phillips unless his right hand was hanging off. If Darlow was available,
Darlow was on the bench at Leeds. You're not going to go from the bench in the Premier League at Leeds to come to Hull City.
Depends how much.
Only if we're starting.
No, he's not good. He's not going to come from the Leeds on the bench when he's got all it takes is an injury to the goalie, and he's then going to be. He was third choice when he came to us before. He's not third choice now. He's second choice because he's on the bench for Leeds. He's not going to come from Leeds to Hull City. He's definitely not. Right.
Darlow has actually started some games for Leeds this season, so it's difficult. Like I say, it's difficult to find somebody of the right caliber that we could bring in.
So are you getting rid of Pando in January then, Becca?
I would cash in if the opportunity came available, if we had a suitable replacement to bring in. But it's the restrictions our biggest issue. I think if I'm realistic, we have to ride it out till the summer. And ride out this restriction.
I would bring one in, but I don't know if it'd be him I'd let go. I'd be hoping we could let Palmer go. I don't know how much we'd get for him. I worry that we might cash in on Hughes.
James, Pando, are you getting rid of him?
No, I'd keep him, but I think there's also mention releasing Williams.
Yes,
which I think he's got a significant wage packet, so that would free up enough salary, I think, to be able to afford another keeper.
Paul.
I won't get rid of him at the moment. I think, you're dicing with a bit of death, really, aren't you? Who to get in his place? A lot of the business in January is done towards the end as well, isn't it? So, I think I don't know. I think once you start looking at getting rid of a person, you're asking him to play for you well, and he's thinking they don't really want me. I don't know. I wouldn't get rid of him. I don't think he's doing well with the two central defenders, whoever it may be. There seems to be this lack of communication. And as I say, sometimes he comes, sometimes he don't come, sometimes he punches, sometimes he catches. It's just, he's just not consistent. I think that's the thing. Obviously, he's young, he is learning his game, and it is completely different to last season, isn't it? As we've said, we was under the cosh most of the season. He was having to throw himself about and save everything he could. Defenders was doing the same. This season, it's a little bit more open, and I think it's affected the defence as well because it's more open. Because you don't see them throwing themselves around quite as much. They have in odd games, but not as generally. And I think that's probably because they're not really used to it as much. Last season, it was like the Alamo a lot of games, wasn't it? It was trying to keep a clean sheet, and we kept a fair few clean sheets, fortunately. But he has a different aspect on football, which we all enjoy watching. We'd rather play forward-looking football than pass at the back and get into the halfway line and going back again.
But there must be an in-between. There has to be an in-between. I mean, I listened to some of the pundits and were saying you never win anything playing the style that we're playing. And I still say you build a team on a solid defence. Brucey did that. Liam did that. Sellers did that. We didn't score many up front, but we certainly, our defence kept us up, didn't it?
I'll upset everybody. I would keep Pandora is my thing because you don't get rid of your player of the season from the season before. He hasn't all of a sudden become a bad goalie. He's learning a new thing and it's just taking a bit of time to get in. The other thing that I'll say is that I would take this football over Liam Rossini's football, over Sayers' football all day long. I'm quite happy that Liam in here and we've got the style that we're playing now under Sergey. I much prefer watching it. It's miles.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you in that sense from an attacking point of view, but it's just worrying the fact that we don't have that quality at the back to compensate for it with the type of system we're playing.
It might be better when McBurn is back because he brings a lot to the defence as well, doesn't he? And the experience and his little bit of niggling that he has in the game. I think he will make a difference.
I think the thing that we've talked about regularly on Tiger Talk, especially me, and I say it regularly. The big problem is he's having somebody who's strung out on the pitch to get into the referee a little bit, because we haven't had enough of that recently. We don't seem to get the decisions that we should get half of the time, and I think that's a bit of a problem, if I'm honest, when we're playing. So it'd be nice to have McBurney back, just because I know that all the time that he's on the pitch, he's bending the referee's ear as much as he possibly can do without getting booked. And, if he gets booked, he ain't really that bothered. It won't matter now, because his cards will be spent anyway, won't they now? So he'll be able to get... He'll be able to get another few before he's suspended, which is a good thing. But I do like somebody who can. I mean, Lundstrom's another one. I think they've both got that experience to be able to do that, and I think that sometimes our squad, Sergei's, said about it before, were too nice as a squad. I know he's tried to make us a little bit less nice this season, but it still isn't working. We're still getting around the referee when we need to and giving him enough. Do you think
though, Adey, obviously in terms of not necessarily getting in the referee's ear and that type of thing, but actually sticking up for your teammates, that's an important factor of a captain's job. And I like Louis Coyle. I do. I really do like Louis Coyle. In terms of that leadership aspect there of defending the team and challenging the referees on some of the decisions, I do feel, unfortunately, that is where it does lack.
He does.
But in terms of his commitment, obviously it's 100%. But
I love it. Listen, it would be starting. It would be starting the game for me. Even if Drame is fit, it would start ahead of Drame for me. There's a lot of people that disagree with me, but I agree with you. For me, he would start ahead of Drame. I think he's got more experience. He puts his heart and soul into it. You can see it, but I don't think on the pitch he's the correct captain. I think off the pitch, he'll probably be great, and he leads them really well. He helps the lads that are coming in and stuff like that. So, I agree. I think off the pitch, he's a really good leader. I wouldn't have him, if Ollie McBurney or Lundstrom are starting in the team, then straight away, they're going to be my captain, because you're going to get more out of them than you're going to get out of Louis Coyle and stuff like that. So, I think that's, for me, it's been one of the issues of this season. And we've all said, and it's been said regularly, I hear it quite a lot these days, that 1% in a game can make all the difference. And I think that is you get more percentage when you're in the referee's ear, because unfortunately we're all human. And as much as you might not want to swear, people want to say the referee isn't swayed by this, that, or the other. He definitely is swayed by this, that, or the other, because, it happens all the time, and you see it all the time. Referees get swayed by fans, referees get swayed by players, and it makes a big difference. And it can give you that extra 1%, which would then, give you an extra chance in the game. So that's just my thoughts on it. Anyway, let's go on to Wrexham, because we've got a big game tonight against Wrexham. Wrexham are doing quite well at the moment. There was always going to be quite honest with you. They've come up a few divisions similar to what we did a lot of years ago, and they've managed to keep it going and come into the Championship, and they're sitting 12th at the moment, 1 point behind us. Their goal difference is a bit better than ours. Theirs is +3, ours is -3. What do you think about this game then, James?
Yeah, they're on a really long unbeaten run, aren't they? I think it's the longest unbeaten run in the Championship at the moment. So I think it's going to be a tough game. It really could go either way. It depends on what kind of City turn up on the night, and whether or not, once again, we're going to have a poor first half and have to try and recover the game in the second half. I think the minute this team starts to have a 90-minute performance, we'll start to see a little bit more consistency out of the team. But at the moment, whether or not it's getting the tactics wrong at the start of the game or just getting the team selection wrong, I don't know what it is that's going wrong at the start. It usually is the first half as well. I don't know what's going wrong at the start of every game for us to perform the way we're doing, and having to try and either see the game out till half time and get ourselves back into it. I just don't know what we need to do differently. But I think that they're a really big team. They're a really strong team. I don't want to see them trying to bully us. I think he is definitely going to need to think about this game and think, about how we're going to be structured defensively, because otherwise this will be another team that could quite easily punish us, I think. So I'm not going to say I'm confident about it, but I'm like with any game with City, I think there's obviously every chance we can get something from the game, and I think we really need to, because at the moment, if we lose this game, it's been a really poor past few weeks, hasn't it? Really. So we need to take
I mean, when you look at our past few weeks, 1-2, lost 3 is our last 5 games in the Championship. So, what are you thinking about it, Becca?
I think I do worry because they're on a bit of a dangerous streak in comparison to us. Like you said, we've only won 2 in our last 5. They are solid defensively. They've pulled it together really nicely. In comparison to when we first visited Wrexham in the Cup at the beginning of the season, it is starting to gel. So for them, we could potentially be on a hard into nothing if Friday night's anything to go by. But I think, James, you're right, 100%. We've seen quite a few games, even when we had, key influential players, where first half we didn't quite get the measure right, and second half we came out and turned it around massively. So depending on how we come out and start the game tonight, it'll be the difference on where we finish. We have to play for the full 90 minutes. Second half's not enough against teams like this in the Championship that are, finding the feet and coming into their own in a bit of a purple patch.
First, fair points there, Becca, from you. Jan, will come to you next because Paul's only just got back with us. We'll see if he stays with us. He's having a problem with his connection by the looks of it. We'll maybe come to him in a minute, but come to you first. Jan, what's your thoughts on the game?
I'll tell you what worries me. Kiefer Moore and Josh Windass, you just know they're going to come and haunt us, don't you? Because we were linked to both of them, weren't we? I mean, Kiefer Moore nearly came and he turned around and went to Sheffield United. Then he went to them, didn't he?
Yeah, so that's got on the plane.
We went to the cup game at Wrexham, and we were really confident, and then it was just like football suicide in that added time, wasn't it? And suddenly they scored that many goals, and we lost the shootout or whatever it was. I can't remember even, but it was just we were all in shock.
Yeah, it was a strange one, that one. It was a shocking one, and as you say, to lose in the shootouts, very difficult. Paul has joined us. He looks like he's had to come on his phone because he can't.
You're right, I have to, yeah. What's happened?
No, he don't know what's happened. What are your thoughts on the game tonight, Paul, against Wrexham?
I think it's going to be a tough game. They seem to score in every game. They've got some good
to score against us, then, aren't they?
Well, probably, yeah. Josh Windass, Ryan Longman coming back. Don't know if he's been the team every time, but he's there, isn't he? They've got a decent team, and there'll be a hard game tonight. I mean, I'd probably take a point and move on, to be quite honest. I don't think it's a guarantee to get anything out of it. We drew. Well, we lost on penalties, didn't we, in the shootout at the Carabao Cup or whatever it was earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
And there we did quite well there. Like, with 3-1 up, we should have ended up winning the game. But I don't know. They seem to have having a reasonable season, to be quite honest. I mean, I think they come up expecting maybe to go a little bit higher, but they're certainly a hard team to beat. I don't see us, winning easily. Let's put it that way. And obviously, we've still got a lot of injuries. So, it's what team he's going to put out realistically. And it can't be a lot different. I would have thought to Friday night's team, because there's not many people to come in, is there? Do you start Miller? It's a worry. Bellumi possibly he'd start him because he has had a bit more. But McBurney, he's just been out injured. Do you start him? I just think it's going to be a similar team. And as I said earlier, I think he picks his weakest or as weak a team as he can to kick off the match and hopefully get to half-time level or maybe in front. And if he does that, I mean, obviously there's the problem with Gelda. If he don't play, where's the goals going to come from? I just think I'd take a draw, to be quite honest. A 0-0 draw would suit me fine tomorrow. I wouldn't be unhappy at all with a 0-0 draw. Because I think there's a point in the right direction.
I think it's that situation, a draw probably would be acceptable against Wrexham. The only thing that you're worrying about then is that your next game's away at Millwall on Saturday, which we know we can talk a little bit about because we're not going to have an episode before Saturday. So, the worry for me is that, you know, if you're taking a draw against Wrexham, then you're going away to Millwall, who are flying high at the moment. They're in third place. You know, they're doing very well. It's that situation of, like Steve Bruce always used to say, you win at home, you draw away. I'd like us to win at home, and I'd like, you know, to try and get a draw against Millwall. But as you say, it's difficult, and it is what squad he's going to pick for tonight's game. You know, as you said, if Geldart's out, and it is where the goals are coming from. Destan does score some goals. He can score some goals. He's better at scoring for me than Joseph is. Joseph, you know, he's just not doing it, is he? You know, he's running about. And I saw the difference of him when he came on the pitch. What was the game before? The Stoke game, wasn't it? In Stoke in the second half, when he came on the pitch, he made the difference because he was closing down and everything. But you know, if he gets the ball in the box, you wouldn't put your house on him to score, would you?
Yeah. But the other thing is with Destan, he had even on Friday night, he was winning the flick-ons on the headers, but there was nobody around him to head him on to. So therefore, we lost the ball again.
That's a frustrating thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when you're playing the way that we are, because we're obviously playing with a lone striker, we're playing with somebody behind that striker, you're playing with your two wingers. You need one of your wingers to be up and off them, don't you?
Yeah.
And ready to receive that ball. But we never seem to have the winger up and off them, ready to receive the ball and ready to win that. So that is,
so we lose the ball again.
Yeah, it's a frustration because, as you say, he has won some headers, and you know, it frustrates the hell out of me every time we win a header and it's a good flick on, and you think, you know, he's beat the defence, but there's nobody there to take that ball on. So it is a massive frustration as well as that. Right, so let's go into this, because I think we need to talk about what your starting 11 is, and I'm going to come to you, James, for your starting 11.
Yeah, I think Hughes comes back into the team over Adey. I think I'm going to start Egan and Hughes. Keep the full-backs the same. I'd have Crooks sitting in front of them. Slater, and it's probably going to have to be Mia because he's all we've got. I think I actually completely agree with Jan. I don't think he's up to scratch. I think he's had enough chances now for us to really see, you know, what he's made of, and he hasn't really.
But James, you're still putting him in the team ahead of Garby.
Because again, JB, when he started, he's convinced me even less than Amir. So I think he's a safer bet than what JB is. I'd have him to come on in the second half. Maybe.
JB, that's what I need to remember. This JB, not Garby. There you go, JB. Yeah, go on.
And then I think I would start Balumi. I think now's the time, if any. You know, we can't keep just holding on for whether or not he's going to get injured or not. I think he's proven now he's got the minutes in the tank. I think, you know, even if it means he only plays for 60 minutes, he doesn't need to play the full 90. I think we just need to start the game better, and when he's on the pitch, we look better. So I'd have Balumi on the right, Destan up top, and with it being
I think you've got two left.
Yes, and yeah, with it being Wrexham, I've missed off Panda as well, haven't I? So I'd obviously have Panda and Girl.
I think you've got a winger and a 10 left is what I'm saying that you haven't done at the moment.
So 1, 4, 5, 8. No, I think that's right. I don't think I'm playing with a 10. I think I'm playing with 2 8s and a 6.
Right. Okay.
So I'd go with Joseph, I think, just because I do like Ndale, but I think it's going to be a scrappy game with the type of team that Wrexham are. And I think when it's that kind of game where you're constantly under the cosh and you need runners and you need people to work hard, I think you need Joseph on the pitch. So yeah, I'd have Joseph playing off Destan, even though, like I say, it doesn't offer anything goal threat wise. But the fact we haven't got Joffrey fit means we're going to struggle anyway. So it's going to all have to probably come down the right hand side.
Becca, across to you.
So I would have Panda and goal, Coyle, Egan, Hughes, and Giles at the back. I prefer seeing Crooks higher up the pitch, but he is the best, unfortunately, at the minute, to plug a bit of a gap at the back. So I'd go Crooks, Emia, Slater in the middle. I'd have right wing below me. We need somebody at least to come in and switch it up with no Gellardt. I'd have Destan up top, and I would probably have Joseph on the left up until first half. Then I'd be wanting to switch it up.
Sounds like the same team as James's to me.
Yeah, I would want him to be bringing Miller in at half time and
I agree with
go
that.
for it.
Over to you now, Jan.
Right, so the only difference I'd have in the back four is I would play Adey instead of Egan, and I think he might, because what's the point of arguing that you need him to stay till after Saturday if you're not going to use him? So that I would have that. In the midfield, I'd have Slater. Oh, I would have Crooks again as like your holding midfielder or your defending midfielder. I'd have Slater. I'd have JRB, but I'd be saying to him, it's your last chance. Get stuck in. I'd play Joseph. I'd play Balumi. I'd play Destan up top, but then I'd want to swap him at some point for Ollie McBurney, because I think him and Joseph do play quite well together, and it's quite a good sort of nurturer for Joseph. Is that everybody, or am I missing one?
That's it. Yeah. Go on, Paul.
And I won't have David Akintola anywhere near the team.
No.
Well, it looked good on Friday when he came on. I thought he was going to change the game, to be quite honest, but he didn't do it.
Anything different that you do, Paul?
Well, to be honest, I'd like to go 5-3-2, as I say, but I don't think we've got two people who I'd sort of put up front naturally. Joseph, to me, is better on the wing, to be quite honest, than he is as a sort of number two. He ain't going to go past Destan. And if he gets past him, he ain't going to score the goal, is he? So, to be honest, he's probably better on the wing pressing as he does, giving us that bit of energy. So I'd have to go 4-3-3, and it's probably the same team as everybody said. I'd probably put Adey in on his, because if he's going to stay till Saturday, you may as well have him in rather than not have him in, and maybe give Egan a rest. But it's going to be more or less the same team as what it started Friday night. I can't see there being a lot of changes. You know, it's as it is at the moment.
Geldart's the one, isn't he? Because obviously he could have picked up that knock. So there's the chance.
So he's not going to play, is he?
So obviously, you know, the obvious replacement is Balumi for Geldart, isn't
it?
And that's probably the only change. And as you say, it's that choice of Egan, Ajayi, and Hughes. Which two of those three you play? They're the big choices for tonight's game. Obviously, the kickoff is very shortly, so we are very close to kickoff. We'll just have a little chat about the Millwall away on Saturday to see, you know, obviously it's very dependent on how we come through tonight and what players come through tonight and how well those players play. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, which is good because obviously it's a short turnaround. But with the strength and depth of the squad, it's hard, isn't it? Because, you know, if you look at the moment, what we've got 1, 2, we've got tonight's game, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left in December with tonight's game, with the small squad that we've got. It's difficult, isn't it?
I think sometimes you've got to let games go past 3 days later. To a degree.
You've got to what, Paul? Sorry?
You know, do you risk it on Saturday at Millwall with
they better do,
with McBurney and people like that?
Jan's going, so he best put in a performance because Jan's going and she's spent her money on it. So, Sergey, if you're listening, I know you won't because you'll be queuing up this game tonight. But if you watch this back, Jan's going to the game, so there best be some effort put in there on Saturday. Otherwise, you're for the high jump, let me tell you. She's laughing a little bit, which is good because at the start of the show, I didn't think we was going to get any smile out of Jan tonight, but we have got a bit of a smile out of her, which is good. Listen, we haven't got long to go on the show, so it's a difficult time at the moment. I think we'd have all took the position that we're in at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, when we look at it, you know, we're still 9th in the championship. With 28 points on the table after 19 games. I think we'd all have took that at the start of the season when we saw the squad. If we can maybe get 1 or 2 additions, move a couple of players on in January and get a couple of additions, I think we could quite happily finish mid-table. I don't think, you know, looking at the squad that we've got, I don't think we should end up in the bottom, let's say 6. I think we should always stay out the bottom 6. And if we can do that, it's a good season, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I think it'd be wrong if we have a poor result tonight to then go stick or bust against Millwall with the injury situation we've got. Like Paul rightly said, sometimes you do have to let things.
Except for I've got to be on that bus at 7 o'clock in the morning or 7:30.
I hope it's not too bad of a journey for you.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, it's been good to be here. We're back again next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, where we'll be live with you. We'll be talking about the game against Millwall. We'll also talk about this game against Wrexham, and we'll preview the game that's coming up against West Bromwich Albion that week. So lots to talk about again on Tiger Talk. Good to have had you on. Remember that we are sponsored by the Car Must Go.
Looking to buy or sell your next car or van? At thecarmustgo.co.uk, we make it easy. We are proud to be your trusted local whole business with 5-star Google reviews from happy customers across East Yorkshire. We buy and sell quality cars and vans, all with a full mechanical check, MOT and warranty included. So call in and see us today at Rugby Street in Hull, or visit us online at thecarmustgo.co.uk. We buy, we sell cars and vans.
Thanks to the carmustgo.co.uk for sponsoring us. Thanks for you for coming on tonight, James. Not listening to me. Thanks to you, Becca, for coming back again.
Thanks, Adey.
Thanks to you, Paul.
Thanks, Adey.
And thanks to you, Jan.
Thanks, Adey.
We'll see you next week from 7 o'clock. Thanks a lot.